so many editing softwares that you can choose from. However, I know that there are 3 main editing softwares that everyone talks about: Final Cut Pro, DaVinci Resolve, and Premiere Pro. So that narrows it down to 3 choices, but I've only tried 2, DaVinci Resolve and Final Cut Pro, which narrows it down to 2. So if you too have narrowed your preferences down to these 2, but don't know which one to use, this video is for you. Or if you're just bored and want to see content. Anyway, before getting into the video, I'd like to say that I've had about 1 year of experience with each software, so I'm no expert, but I think that I can definitely help you decide. Let's get into the video. So let's start out by saying that video editing softwares are not the only softwares you need to make a good video. There's also recording softwares. I made a video on that in the top right corner. Audio editing softwares, and more. So let's get you decided on the second step of the spectrum, which is editing, right after the first, which is recording, because you need to record before you edit. Now, I'm going to share my experience with Final Cut Pro and DaVinci Resolve Studio, except you don't need the studio version right away. And I'm sharing these experiences with you because this will give you an idea of which software will be better for you. Then I'll get into the actual pros and cons of the softwares. Let's get into the sharing experiences part. So Final Cut Pro has been my main editing software for the occasion that I'm home. But when I'm not at home, like on a trip for example, then I use DaVinci Resolve. This is because there's an iPad app of DaVinci Resolve, unlike Final Cut Pro. So I use that because that's a more mobile device. But I have a MacBook, so why am I not using Final Cut Pro while I'm traveling on that MacBook Pro? That's because it actually recently broke. I'm trying to fix it, but for now it's broken, so I have to use DaVinci Resolve Studio on my iPad to edit. It also isn't the most spec'd out computer for editing. It doesn't have the buff of Apple Silicon, so I use DaVinci Resolve. Now, other than when I use the softwares, I have experiences with both, and those experiences differ because of the pros and cons, which brings me to the next part of the video, which is the pros and cons of each software. So let's get started with Final Cut Pro. This software is best described as easy to use, but it also holds the quality of an editing software that's not short of tools, as you can see with all of the stuff in here. But one of the largest advantages are that it's user-friendly. Like, you know what everything does and where everything is. Look, it's just easy. Transitions has a transition icon. This has an effects icon. It just guides you through the software. So that's what makes you really efficient when editing in Final Cut Pro. Now, for DaVinci Resolve. But before we get into that, I'd like to go more in depth within the studio part of DaVinci Resolve. You don't need to switch over to DaVinci Resolve Studio from DaVinci Resolve until you find out the reasons you need to get DaVinci Resolve Studio, especially if you're just starting out with content creation. You should just stick with the regular free version of DaVinci Resolve until you're deeper into your YouTube career or whatever videos you create. Once you need those advanced features, then go with DaVinci Resolve Studio. Now, let's talk about the pros and cons. So I went a bit more in depth with Final Cut Pro because I've actually used this one as my main editing software for a lot more of the time than DaVinci Resolve Studio. But in the pros and cons section, I'm going to show you all of the things that you need to know about DaVinci Resolve when starting out. So like I said with Final Cut Pro, everything is easy to use, and that makes you efficient with editing. But since Apple makes multiple other softwares that can help you make the best video you can, one of Final Cut Pro's benefits are also compatibility, although sadly it isn't available on PCs. Now, for most of the cool features like surface tracking, magic mask, and more are only reserved for DaVinci Resolve Studio. The complexity and amazing color grading are also wonderful features of the free DaVinci Resolve. And also, the advanced editing in the Fusion tab and all of the other tabs is perfect for advanced editing projects. And the cons, well, basically, the cons of Final Cut Pro are that it doesn't have most of the pros of DaVinci Resolve Studio, and vice versa. So basically, for DaVinci Resolve Studio, it doesn't have some of the things that Final Cut Pro has. For both of these programs, you're gonna need a mid to high-end PC or Mac with a good GPU and CPU. But that's the whole tutorial. I really hope you enjoyed and found yourself the right editing software of the two. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!